Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Forgotten Past. I'm thrilled to have you all here once again. Whether you're a longtime subscriber or new to the channel, we're diving deep into the shadows of history, uncovering the stories and secrets that time has left behind. Get ready for some intriguing tales, fascinating facts, and a journey through the moments that shaped our world but often go unnoticed. So, grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's explore the forgotten past together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Let's get started. Shadows of the Republic. In the annals of history, few events have left as profound an impact on the course of civilization as the assassination of Julius Caesar on March 15th, 44 BCE, known as the Ides of March. This pivotal moment not only marked the end of a formidable leader, but ignited a firestorm of civil unrest that would reshape Rome and reverberate through history. The plot to end Caesar's life was orchestrated by a group of prominent senators, including Gaius Cassius Longinus and Marcus Junius Brutus. Their assassination of Caesar set the stage for a tumultuous power struggle, leading to conflicts that would ultimately define the fate of the Roman Republic. In the immediate aftermath of Caesar's death, the political landscape was thrown into chaos. On March 17, 44 BCE, just 2 days after the assassination, public unrest began to manifest as Caesar's loyalists, led by Mark Antony. The Senate, which had once been a bastion of authority, now found itself struggling to maintain control amidst the rising tide of populist sentiment. Historian Mary Beard notes, "The assassination unleashed a torrent of populist sentiment as the plebeians, those common citizens of Rome, sought to reclaim their voice. This was a time of hope for many who believed that a new era of democracy could emerge from the ashes of tyranny. However, the political landscape quickly deteriorated. Following the funeral of Julius Caesar on April 21st, 44 BCE, where Mark Antony delivered a stirring eulogy that incited the crowd against the conspirators, the streets of Rome became increasingly volatile. The public sentiment shifted rapidly, leading to riots and protests against the senators who had plotted Caesar's assassination. The historian Appian described the atmosphere, stating, "Antony's words stirred the hearts of the people, awakening their grief and anger toward those who had taken their leader." The conspirators, including Brutus and Cassius, found themselves in a precarious position, viewed as traitors by many. Amidst this turmoil, we find Marcus, a plebeian soldier who had fought valiantly for the Republic. He represented the hopes of the common people, who felt disenfranchised in the power struggles of the elite. As the unrest unfolded, Marcus sought to rally his fellow plebeians, believing that the time had come for their voices to be heard. However, he soon realized that the political climate was shifting rapidly, and the ideals he championed were being overshadowed by the ambitions of powerful leaders. As summer approached in 44 BCE, the Senate's fear of Antony and his growing power led to the creation of the Second Triumvirate in November 43 BCE, composed of Antony, Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir, and Marcus Lepidus. This alliance aimed to consolidate power against the conspirators and restore order to Rome. Historian Edward Gibbon noted, "The formation of the triumvirate marked a significant shift in the political landscape, as these leaders sought to legitimize their control through military force. The Battle of Philippi, the tension between the forces loyal to Caesar and the conspirators, came to a head in 42 BCE with the Battle of Philippi, a series of 2 engagements that would ultimately determine the fate of the Republic. The battle occurred in Macedonia, where Brutus and Cassius had rallied their forces to resist the triumvirate's advance. Troop strength and strategy, the forces of the triumvirate, led by Mark Antony and Octavian, numbered approximately 100,000 soldiers, while the forces of Brutus and Cassius, the leading conspirators, had around 80,000 soldiers. The opposing sides had vastly different strategies. Antony and Octavian aimed for a swift, decisive victory to consolidate their power, while Brutus and Cassius sought to defend their position and rally support among the senators and the people of Rome. First engagement, October 3rd to 4th, 42 BCE. The first engagement took place on October 3rd, 42 BCE. The battle was fierce, with both sides fighting for their ideals and the future of Rome. Antony and Octavian's forces attacked Brutus's camp, which led to a hard-fought conflict. Cassius, commanding the left flank, initially gained ground. However, as the battle progressed, Brutus's forces faced mounting pressure from Antony's superior numbers. The battle ended with significant casualties on both sides, but it was a tactical stalemate. Casualties. Historical accounts suggest that around 20,000 soldiers died during the first engagement, with both sides suffering losses that underscored the desperation of their struggle. The battle was marked by chaos and confusion, with soldiers fighting not just for victory but for survival and the ideals they held dear. Second engagement, October 23rd, 42 BCE. The second engagement occurred on October 23rd, 42 BCE. This battle was decisive for the outcome of the conflict. Antony and Octavian, recognizing the need to coordinate their efforts, launched a concerted assault against Brutus and Cassius. The battle was marked by chaos and desperation, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Ultimately, Brutus's forces were overwhelmed. Final casualties. Estimates of the overall losses for the two sides range from 30,000 to 40,000 deaths combined for both engagements. The losses were devastating for Brutus and Cassius, shifting the tide decisively in favor of Antony and Octavian. Following their defeat, the two conspirators faced despair. The suicides of Brutus and Cassius. In the wake of their defeat, Brutus and Cassius faced despair. Cassius, who had initially believed that victory was within reach, was struck by the weight of their losses. On the day following the second engagement, he chose to take his own life. Cassius famously ordered his freedman Pindarus to stab him, lamenting the fate of their cause and expressing regret that he could not fulfill his vision for Rome. Brutus, though initially reluctant to follow Cassius in death, ultimately succumbed to the same fate. After realizing that their forces had been decisively defeated and that capture was imminent, he chose to take his own life as well. In a poignant final act, Brutus reportedly said, "I shall not be taken alive," before falling on his sword. His death marked the end of the Republican cause that he had fought for, and his final words echoed his enduring sense of honor and commitment to the ideals he had espoused. The suicides of Brutus and Cassius not only symbolized the end of the Republican resistance, but also highlighted the deep divisions within Roman society. Their deaths left a power vacuum that further solidified the control of Antony and Octavian, marking a critical turning point in Roman history. Legacy. After Caesar, the legacy of Julius Caesar is multifaceted, encompassing both positive and negative implications for the Roman Republic and its citizens. On one hand, Caesar's reforms aimed at addressing the needs of the plebeians and reducing the power of the patricians laid the groundwork for a more equitable society. His policies included land redistribution, debt relief, and the expansion of citizenship, which resonated with the common people. Historian Barry Strauss notes, Caesar's vision for a reformed Rome inspired hope among the plebeians, who felt marginalized for too long. Caesar's reforms, 49 to 44 BCE. During his final years in power, Caesar implemented a series of reforms, including the Julian calendar in 45 BCE, which reformed the calendar system and improved agricultural planning. He also initiated land reforms aimed at redistributing public land to veterans and the poor, providing much-needed relief to the common people. Assassination and aftermath. March 15th, 44 BCE. The assassination of Caesar marked the beginning of a turbulent period for Rome. The immediate aftermath saw the rise of his loyalists, including Mark Antony and Octavian, who sought to avenge his death. Formation of the Second Triumvirate, November 43 BCE. In response to the power vacuum and the threat posed by Caesar's assassins, Antony, Octavian, and Lepidus formed the Second Triumvirate to consolidate power and eliminate their political enemies, including the assassins of Caesar. Battle of Philippi, October 42 BCE. The decisive Battle of Philippi led to the defeat and suicides of Brutus and Cassius, solidifying the power of the triumvirate and marking the end of the Republican cause. Rise of Octavian, 31 BCE. After the defeat of Antony and Cleopatra at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE, Octavian emerged as the sole ruler of Rome. His victory marked the end of the civil wars and the transition from republic to empire. Establishment of the Roman Empire, 27 BCE. In 27 BCE, Octavian was granted the title of Augustus by the Senate, marking the formal beginning of the Roman Empire. This transition represented a shift in governance, as power became increasingly centralized under Augustus. The Edict of Caracalla, 212 CE. This edict granted Roman citizenship to all free inhabitants of the empire, further expanding the legacy of citizenship initiated by Caesar's reforms, albeit in a different political context. However, Caesar's consolidation of power and his self-appointment as dictator for life raised concerns among many senators who feared the erosion of the republic. This fear was rooted in the belief that Caesar's ambitions could lead to tyranny and the establishment of a monarchy. The assassination of Caesar was, in part, an attempt to restore the traditional republican values that had defined Roman governance for centuries. The conspirators believed they were acting in the best interest of the republic, but their actions ultimately plunged Rome into civil war. The aftermath of civil war following the Battle of Philippi, the political landscape in Rome was irrevocably altered. The triumvirate, while initially successful in defeating the conspirators, soon fell into disarray. The power struggle between Antony and Octavian would lead to further conflict. Conflict between Antony and Octavian, 34 to 31 BCE. The rivalry escalated, culminating in Octavian's propaganda campaign against Antony, portraying him as a traitor to Rome for his relationship with Cleopatra. This conflict reached its zenith with the naval battle of Actium on September 2nd, 31 BCE. Battle of Actium, 31 BCE. The decisive naval battle solidified Octavian's power, leading to Antony and Cleopatra's defeat. Following their defeat, they both committed suicide in 30 BCE, marking the end of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. Octavian's ascendancy, 27 BCE. In 27 BCE, after solidifying his power, Octavian was granted the title of Augustus, marking the transition from republic to empire. The Senate conferred upon him this title in recognition of his leadership, transforming the political structure of Rome. The Pax Romana, 27 BCE, 180 CE. Augustus's rule initiated the Pax Romana, a period of relative peace and stability across the empire that lasted for about 200 years. This era allowed for cultural, economic, and architectural advancements throughout Rome and its provinces. Marcus's journey. For individuals like Marcus, the legacy of Caesar was deeply personal. Initially filled with hope and determination, Marcus found himself navigating a world in which the ideals of democracy were increasingly overshadowed by the ambitions of powerful leaders. As the triumvirate solidified its control, the plight of the plebeians grew more pronounced. Marcus witnessed firsthand the suffering of his fellow citizens as food shortages and economic instability took their toll. Despite the hardships, Marcus remained resilient. He continued to advocate for the rights of the plebeians, drawing inspiration from Caesar's vision for a more inclusive society. However, as Augustus rose to power, the political landscape became increasingly oppressive. The Senate, now dominated by the elite, often ignored the needs of the common people. Historian Theodore Mommsen remarked, "The social fabric of Rome was unraveling, and the plight of the plebeians became a reflection of the republic's decline." In the years following Caesar's assassination, the political aspirations of the plebeians were largely dashed. While Augustus implemented reforms that improved some aspects of life for ordinary citizens, the underlying issues of inequality remained. The consolidation of power in the hands of one ruler stifled the democratic ideals that many had fought for during the tumultuous years following Caesar's death. The enduring impact. Despite the challenges, the legacy of Caesar continued to resonate throughout Roman history. His life and death became a symbol of the struggle for power and the complex relationship between the ruling elite and the common people. The ideals he championed, including the importance of civic duty and the fight for representation, would inspire future generations. As the Roman Empire expanded, the concepts of citizenship and legal rights evolved. Augustus's reforms laid the groundwork for a more inclusive society, gradually extending citizenship to individuals beyond the elite class. The historian Craig A. Evans notes, "The expansion of citizenship under Augustus was a strategic move to integrate diverse populations into the Roman Empire, ultimately contributing to a more unified society." This legacy of inclusivity can be traced back to the reforms Caesar had initiated, even if they were not fully realized during his time. In the centuries that followed, the echoes of Caesar's tumultuous era would resonate in various forms. The struggles of the plebeians during this time served as a reminder of the importance of representation and the fight for rights. As societies evolved, the ideals of democracy and civic participation continued to be championed by future generations, influenced by the lessons learned from the upheavals of the past. For Marcus, the journey was far from over. While he faced numerous challenges in advocating for the rights of the plebeians, he remained committed to the ideals of justice and equality that had inspired him since Caesar's time. The legacy of his struggle became intertwined with the broader narrative of Roman history, illustrating the enduring fight for human rights, a narrative that continues to resonate across time and space. As the dust settled over Rome, the lessons of this tumultuous period became etched into the city's memory. The Republic, though shaken, would continue to inspire future generations. The ideals of democracy, while challenged, would never be completely extinguished. The words of the historian Plutarch linger. "The true measure of a leader is not in their power, but in their ability to inspire others to rise." Ultimately, the civil unrest that engulfed Rome after Caesar's assassination lasted for several years, culminating in a series of civil wars that ultimately dismantled the Republic. The hopes for a renewed democracy were dashed as ambitious leaders seized control, and the legacy of Marcus and the plebeians faded into the shadows of history. Yet, their fight for justice and equality remains a poignant reminder of the enduring struggle for human rights, a narrative that continues to resonate across time and space. And that brings us to the end of today's journey through the forgotten past. I hope you all enjoyed uncovering these hidden stories as much as I did sharing them with you. If you found the video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing from you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an adventure into history. Thank you for joining me today, and until next time, Keep exploring and keep the past alive.